This is Charleston's retirement coach, Brandon Bowen.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Most importantly, thanks for listening. This is Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. It's all powered by Bowen Wealth. You can get more when you visit bowenwealth.com, and you can find that and all the information in the show notes. My name is Mark Owens. Now, let's get to the show. Brandon, been a crazy week on the market. Headlines have been a lot of those flashing, breaking news. You know, you watch the CNBC and the Fox News, and some sides say the world is ending. The other side say, all right, everybody take a deep breath. But let's talk about that to get things started here about risk tolerance and using your retirement savings in the market. There was an article from Kiplinger that says many times people's appetite for risk is not reflected by personality, but by what the market is doing at the time. So do you find that to be true? I mean, what are the dangers in this?
Totally find that. And I often say that I'm the most optimistic guy that you're going to meet, right?
Agree.
But my planning process is very pessimistic. Okay, when we sit down and review your money and we talk about retirement, we got one shot. We got one shot at this thing, and we have got to put guardrails up. We've got to be pessimistic and plan for what might be happening right now. Because if it happens, we've planned for it. And then if then we never have a crash again, which is not likely, then who cares? Everybody's going to be happy, right?
Right.
Yes, it's a lot of times, like in Vegas, if you're winning, Mark, you just went to Vegas, by the way.
I do.
I got to get an update from that story.
Well, people only tell you when they win.
Okay.
They don't brag when they lose.
See, I think that like no other airport, you can tell who is arriving and who's departing.
Yes.
Is the Vegas airport. You look and people are like
people off that airplane ready to take this town down.
You are flying high. You are excited. Your boys, your whatever.
People get back on the airplane, figure out how they're going to explain to their wife they can't pay the mortgage next month.
Yes, and it is like, please stop talking, everyone. Turn the lights off.
My head hurts. My wallet hurts.
Everything hurts. So just like that, we need to really guard against being that emotional over our money and our investment decisions. Because yes, when things are going well, it's like everybody's around the craps table, and it's like, yeah, baby, let's go. Yeah, it's like we're all in. You want, when the markets are flying high, you feel like everything's great. You're taking all this risk. You don't mind. Your portfolio is getting way out of balance. Right. It's all your equity positions. You're not trimming your winnings, your gains. You're just letting those things get way out of balance. Everything's great until something like what might be going on right now happens, right? Until we have these 10% sell-offs, 15%, 20%, right? So then the sky's falling and you feel like there is no floor to be seen. There's no bottom to this sell-off, this crash. Right? That's what you think. You think that the market you're going to lose everything you've worked so hard for. And now all you want to do is you're calling your guy or your girl and you're saying, sell, get me out. Right?
Right.
I went on the side. I can't ride this thing down again. I've done that before. Now, there is some truth to that. There is some truth. And what I want to talk about here is some of the dangers that you listening might truly have right now. If you're not my client, if you're not working with the portfolios that we work with, yes, my clients, there is still risk, right? We still have risk here, but we're only taking calculated risk. And we're only risking the portion that hasn't already been set aside for your peace of mind. Okay, think about that. Like, instead of risking your whole life savings, if you've saved $500,000 or if you've saved $1 million or $2 million, you can't have all of that at risk in the market. Okay, so what we do for our clients is we build an income plan first. And that means let's carve out, let's sit aside enough to produce enough income. And we look at a very diversified portfolio. How do we build that income? So that money is very loss resistant, very resistant to market losses, I should say. Okay. You know that you've got your dignity, your standard of living is taken care of. So when we have these sell-offs, yes, my clients have some money that's in that sell-off here, but that's money that we have already earmarked for maybe 5 years from now. What if the value of your portfolio goes down 20 or 30 or 40% right now, right? At this point of the ballgame, if you're 55 or 60 or 65, if you've already retired, oh my gosh.
That's detrimental.
That is make me start sweating right now, right? When I think about that, and I bet it makes you start sweating. But if you're heading towards retirement, and this thing, let's say this market sells off down 20, 25%, are you going to still be able to retire when you wanted to? maybe you do try to retire then, but your lifestyle, you're going to have to adjust. If you've got 30% less than what you thought you had, then that's probably going to produce maybe 30% less income than you thought you could produce. This is a gut punch for a lot of people right now. That might be why you've tuned in here today or pulled up the podcast, is because this volatility has been just an awakening to you. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, I was so excited. Maybe Trump got into the office, but now look at what's happening to the market. And it's, now my portfolio is already down 10%, 15%. Oh, what do I do? Right? What do I do? So what I want you to hear is that there is a better way, I believe, to prepare for retirement. We start with a market analysis, with your portfolio analysis. I believe that you've got to understand what you have, the risk that you're walking around with. You might be keenly aware of it right now, right? But you've got to know what you're walking around with, how much risk, and also know about your portfolios, right? What we do for our clients, we are the only advisor here in Charleston that has MarketGuard portfolios. So these are models that are watching the market every day, watching all kind of indicators, analysis, momentum in the market, right? And so what it does is we have three different types. Think of the porridge, right? The Goldilocks.
Right. Three bears, yeah.
Right. So we've got one portfolio. If you're like really, really nervous, well, our MarketGuard portfolios, if our indicators tell it to get defensive, it will take the whole thing and go sit on the sidelines. It will completely get out of the market. We've got other portfolios that are kind of right in the middle there, where it will take up to half of the money and go sit on the sidelines. And then we've got others, of course, that stay all in all the time. As you might imagine, is I custom build your portfolio considering the tax status. Okay. So for example, Roth IRAs, well, that's money that we want to grow, as best we can. So that's where we stay all in all the time. Okay. But if you have some tax deferred accounts, maybe some of your bigger portfolios, well, we might be using some of these portfolios that have already gone halfway to the sidelines. So think of that. My clients that might be listening right now, or, if they go pull up their portfolio, we have MarketGuard has proactively already gone to the sidelines. Okay. The alarms have already flashed and our models have already taken defensive action. Okay, so then consider an S&P sell-off here. Well, what if you have half your portfolio already sitting this out? And so our MarketGuard portfolios also give us indicators of when to get back in, when to buy, when to hold, when to sell, when to get back in. And it's like a self-driving Tesla here. Maybe Tesla's a bad example, as bad as it's selling off right now. But they're self-driving portfolios here, okay? Right? I'm watching what MarketGuard is doing. And so these are a beautiful complement to have, for your at-risk money. Now, remember, if you become a client, we've already set some money aside here for your income, for your peace of mind. You know that your paycheck is taken care of. You're not even that stressed, but your money in the market here, we've got some really, really smart portfolios that have taken control here and made some proactive moves. So let's start with this. If this week has been a fresh awakening to you of like, oh my gosh, I was way too aggressive and I don't see anything proactively happening with my money. I'm just in these buy and hold, looks like these buy and hold funds here. My advisor, I hadn't heard from them. I don't know, what the plan is here. All I see is just red. All I see is losses. Then I say, pick up the phone. I want to help you analyze your current holdings. So if you call or text our office, Tanya is standing by right now, and she will set up a time for you to come into the office, and I want you to bring in your statements. If you've got a 401k, some IRAs, maybe brokerage accounts, whatever, 3, 4, 5 different accounts, maybe it's a hot mess, but bring them in. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to provide for you a Morningstar analysis on all of your holdings. It's third party, unbiased, it's Morningstar. Okay, so we just pop in all your ticker symbols, all your ETF holdings, whatever. If you have a variable annuity, anything that you might have for retirement, we put it all into this report, and it tells us how much risk, what percentage of your portfolio is in high risk, what percentage is in low risk. And we'll start with that. I'll say, hey, did you know? And Mark, so many times people have no clue that they were that aggressive. Mm-hmm. They had no clue. They were like, wait a second. I told them I wanted a 60-40 mix or a 40-60. I wanted to be mostly defensive. And you're sitting here telling me I'm 80% aggressive? So you've got to know what you have. You've got to know what you have. And then once you have been educated on that, maybe your fees you're paying, okay, your expense ratios, that even adds to a sell-off. when you're having to pay an extra half or 1 or 1.5% here, well, that's just adding to these declines that you might have. Okay. So you got to know what you have. And then what we'll do is we'll set up then a second meeting and I'll say, hey, well, let me show you what our MarketGuard portfolios, let me show you what they do, how they're positioned, how we could adjust your portfolio, setting up the income plan first, reducing your risk in the market, making sure you're tax efficient. So all of this begins with you picking up the phone and we start with this market risk analysis. So if you've saved $500,000 or more and you know that you need to have a second opinion on what's going on with your money, pick up the phone. Our number's 843-890-2400. Tanya's standing by right now. You can call or text us. Just text the word MarketGuard, okay? MarketGuard to 843-890-2400, and we'll get started with your customized market risk analysis.
So to talk about MarketGuard for a couple seconds here, that's no cost. That comes with the process of working with you and the team at Bowen Wealth, correct?
That's right. Yeah. No cost for that. That's part of our solutions.
Okay.
Right. We use these MarketGuard portfolios that are proactive, trying to make the best moves for you and your retirement.
843-890-2400. Again, 843-890-2400. You can call, you can text right now. Tanya is standing by to talk to you on the phone or just a couple of texts back and forth to schedule that initial consultation. It's no cost. It's no obligation. So look, the headlines have been heavy this week. Brandon and the team at Bowen Wealth, they want to give you a life where you don't have to look at the headlines every single day. 843-890-2400 or online at bowenwealth.com. And Brandon, this time of the year... By the way, before we got started this weekend, we were talking a little bit of March Madness. I didn't know you played a little basketball back in your day.
Oh, man. Yes. I played, basketball and golf were my sports growing up there. Yeah, I went to Rick Pitino's basketball university camp. A big University of Kentucky fan. I went in the mid-'90s there. Played, of course, high school, walk-on in college, but, then our coach got fired, and at Winthrop, they brought in Greg Marshall, and so then it was like, then we went worst to first. That's when Winthrop went to the, to the big dance for several years in a row. But of course, I was not good enough to play on that team. But yes, I love some basketball.
How are your knees at this stage in life?
Fine. Right. Probably because I stopped. Yes, and that's why I don't play right now. I some guys will invite. Hey, we're playing some pickup ball. I'm like, no, I don't want to blow up my. Have fun.
Fine. Let me know who wins.
Yes,
I'll be happy to come and pick you up or watch.
Now we'll play some horse or pig or knockout. I'll do that.
100%. Yes. So saw some good stats. This comes from Wallet Hub about how much do you think that we bet, we collectively as Americans put money on. We go to Vegas or we do the online thing or we go to Biloxi or whatever. We throw some money down on March Madness. How much do you think is wagered on March Madness?
$1 billion.
$2.7 billion.
Ooh.
Now, on the flip side, how much do you think is wagered illegally on March Madness?
More. Let's say $4 billion.
Right on the nose, $4 billion.
Really? Okay.
But here's the question: how do they know? How does Wallet Hub know how much we...
Yes, if it's illegal.
Yeah. Here's another one. How much do you think that we as American workers, how much time do you think that we're going to waste per week secretly watching March Madness at our desk?
Give me 10 hours.
Not that bad. 6 hours a week.
Okay.
Not horrible. I do worse than that during the Masters. I get nothing done. And finally, what are the chances of filling out a perfect bracket?
Oh, gosh. That's probably 1 in 50,000.
1 in 9.2 quintillion.
Okay.
That's the numbers 9, the number 2, and then 17 zeros.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. That's why Buffett used to always do the $1 million or the $5 million perfect bracket.
Yes.
Because your chances.
Because there's no chance.
But we spend so much time, effort, energy researching the brackets, researching the teams to have a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance of getting it right. That also kind of reflects what you do for a living too, because we're filling out these brackets. We're spending a lot of time. We're watching March Madness, but we don't spend half that amount of time. We don't spend a quarter of that amount of time working on our retirement strategies. Why do you think there's such a disconnect?
I don't know, because, so you think about this. If you do these brackets, I guarantee that you're doing it because you're doing it with other people.
Okay.
you're with a group, right? You're with some friends, or maybe it's your family or your coworkers.
Yeah, there's always probably some bones on the line, maybe
right.
Round of golf, cold beer, something.
And you know, the ones that do so well, it's like, well, I was looking at the colors or the mascots.
Let me tell you, that is my wife, and I know she's not listening right now. I will call her out. I do the same thing. I spend the time. I find each team. I like this. and I inevitably get knocked out in the first round. But then Gretchen, she'll be like, well, that head coach is cute, so I think he's going to make it. And I like their mascot, so I like the color of that uniform. Of course, she makes it like to the Sweet 16.
Right. So, but you know, that's the fun part of it, right? Is because we're just doing this together, and then someone who like hasn't watched anything, you know, they're like they're leading the pool, and so they get to brag and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's just crazy that people they don't even know what funds they're in. Mm-hmm. Yes, they've researched their teams more. Some of these brackets and these matchups of 1 versus 16 and 2 versus 15, they've looked at those, but they don't even know, you know, the records of these teams, or, you know, the scores, or who won the SEC this year, who won the ACC. Okay, well, they're playing well. You know, they don't factor any of that stuff in.
Right.
You know, and so for their retirement, yes, it's just no planning. They've got maybe just a mix of funds, and they just don't ever look at it. So what we're saying here is you've got to, I mean, if you're 55 or above here, I mean, these last few, if you've got just a few years before you retire, I mean, these are the last few years for you to do some good stuff, right? To really protect from a market crash. We just talked about that in the first segment here, you know, of how to really take a look at that portfolio and protect it from, you know, some of these sell-offs that might be happening now or in the future. So you've got to plan for that. If you've already retired, oh my gosh, you've got to take a look at your retirement. You can't head into retirement and just like hope that things are going to work out for you, right? You've got to put that plan into place. And you know what I like, Mark, about the tournament, I would say, is how many of you, if you can stay up that late, you know, you think about the championship game, right? You've made it all the way, the Final Four, then you've got the championship game all the way to the end, to when they crown the champion.
That's right.
I love watching those players when they realize that they've won the tournament, when they've won the championship, because what you see is maybe there's a minute left or 30 seconds, right? And the other team, they stop fouling. Maybe they commit that last foul, and you start to see these players, you know, the coach starts subbing in the seniors on the bench or whatever, and you start to see these smiles on the players that have been on that court, that they've earned this championship. They've worked so hard, right, for their whole college career, maybe some of them just 1 year, but, you know, all the discipline that they've put into work here, all the practicing from when they were little kids, right? Middle school, high school, college. Now they've been lifting weights. They've been denying themselves having fun with their friends for these goals.
For that moment.
Right? For that moment. And then one shining moment plays. I love it. They play that at the end of, you know, you're just watching back and I'm crying, right? I'm watching. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these guys are diving on the floor. They're giving it their all. The women too, right? So when they finally realize that they've won the game, right? That is the joy that these players, they turn into kids again, right? They're hugging their coaches, they're hugging their teammates, they're crying. You know, they've put in all this work. I love it, right? That's the whole reason why I love watching the tournament, the upsets, and then right there at the end, right? So what I want to ask you listening is, have you had that moment where you have just sat back in your chair, smiled, maybe looked at your spouse and like, honey, we did it. We did it. We have won the game. We have won this retirement game. You know, we've been putting in all this work here. And look at that. Look at the plan. Look at this income that we now can generate here, this protected income that we have. Look at how we've taken our money out of the stock market. We now have some more defensive investment strategies there. We've got a tax plan in place, and you know, we've got a plan for if we live till our 90s or our 100, if we have longevity, we still have a plan for that. It's like you know that it can't get messed up at that point, and you start to smile and let that joy come over you. And if you haven't, it's kind of like, okay, imagine this. Imagine if you know, the first round of that, say, of the Final Four, you have those two games, those teams that win, you know, they know that yes, they just advanced to the finals, but are they celebrating like this?
Nope.
Why?
Still work to be done.
There's still work to be done. So they know, you know, we haven't achieved it yet. We could still lose. So they're not running around cutting down the nets after, you know, at that point, right? So you can't cut down the nets till you know that you've won. And so if you haven't had this moment, you still have in your mind there's still a chance that we could lose, right? There's still a chance that we could run out of money. And I'm here telling you there is a way, if you're working with the right person that builds the right retirement plan, that specializes in retirement, there is a way that you can have this joy and know that you have won the game truly, because you've got enough protected income coming in. You've reduced that risk. So there's no chance for you to mess it up. Okay, if anything, it's going to get easier because the house is going to get paid off and you're going to get more and more debt free, and you're going to need less and less money. You know, the longer you go, you're not going to feel like traveling and partying and having great vacations like maybe your first 10 or 15 years of retirement. You'll start slowing down a little bit, okay? Case in point, let me tell you real quick about some clients that live west of the Ashley. They came in, they had saved about $1.5 million. Okay, they were 66 and 64. They were so close, so close. They knew that they kind of had the pieces, they had what they needed, but they were like, Brandon, we need $100,000 a year, but we're just not sure. We can see how certain things could mess up, and this volatility we're experiencing. So after our planning process, after my team went to work, I put together a tax efficient income plan, and we were able to create that $100,000. Actually, a little bit more than that, $100,000 a year. And they had that moment when they were able to look at each other, lean back in their chair. Like, she even got emotional. I've had that before. People just like we're talking about with these players. When you finally realize that, okay, I can see how we have now won this game, and now we can transition into leaving a legacy and spending time with our kids and grandkids and traveling. We don't have to go to work and set that alarm. There's just so much freedom that has come from the discipline that you have had your whole life. So if you don't have this, if you haven't experienced this, and you still know that there is a chance that your plan could wreck, whoever you're working with does not have that plan in place for you yet, I want to invite you to come on over. That's why I'm Charleston's retirement coach. Just like these coaches here, we build customized retirement game plans for your retirement. So if you don't have this, if you've saved $500,000 or more and are age 55 or above, pick up the phone right now. I know it's right beside you. Give us a call or shoot us a text. I have Tanya standing by. My number's 843-890-2400. 843-890-2400. You can text the word game plan right there, 843-890-2400, and we will start with your very own customized retirement game plan.
Thanks for listening to Charleston's Retirement Coach Podcast with Brandon Bowen. To learn more, visit bowenwealth.com and join Brandon for his radio show, Charleston's Retirement Coach, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 94.3 WSC.
Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if J. Brandon Bowen is licensed in your state, please call 843-203-2030. J. Brandon Bowen is an investment advisor representative of Bowen Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. J. Brandon Bowen is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency, and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Bowen Wealth, LLC, insurance licensed in South Carolina. MarketGuard is a registered investment advisor with the SEC and provides model portfolios only to Impact Partnership Wealth. MarketGuard makes no implied warranties or representations and is not liable for any data presented.